So I have been working on planting my dahlias out in the garden over the last couple of weeks. I've been taking them out of the storage bins. I've been checking them over and dividing some that needed to be divided. And I did a video about dividing dahlias not that long ago, so I'll put a link to that in the description. As I'm checking them over, I will cut away anything that is rotted or doesn't look good. That way I've got, good healthy clumps of tubers that are ready to go into the ground. All right, so I've got a whole tray here of dahlias that I started early. I potted them up. Some of these are new dahlias that I got this year. So when I took them out of the packaging from the mail, I potted them up because it wasn't time for them to go out in the garden yet. And some of these are dahlias that I took out of storage and I divided. And again, it wasn't time for them to go out in the garden yet, so I potted up my divided tuber clumps and started growing them on to give them a head start for the new season. So this is a good example of the difference between starting a dahlia off early in a pot versus when it went in the ground. So this one I started early because it was ready to get growing, but yet it wasn't time to put dahlias in the ground. It was still too much of a risk of frost. So this had probably about a 2-week head start versus this one here, and you can see this one's growing just fine. It's not, but there's a significant difference between when you grow them early. When you're planting the dahlias that you've been growing on early, just plant them like you would any flower. You don't need to plant them too deep. Just plant them at the same level that they've been growing at. For tubers that haven't put on any growth or maybe have just put on a little bit of growth, I try to plant them about 4 to 6 inches in the soil. If you have just a single tuber, it's pretty easy to lay that in horizontally. If you have a clump of tubers, I just try to set them into the hole. The most important thing is identifying where the eyes are, those growth points, and I try to situate the dahlias so that those growth points are pointing up. That's going to make it easiest for that dahlia to continue putting on that growth and for that to kind of pop up out of the soil. Some dahlias that grow really tall, you may want to plant those tubers closer to 6 inches just so there's a little bit more soil around to anchor those taller plants. But also if they get really tall, you can stake them as well, and that will add some stability later on in the season if they need that. I did a video, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago by now, where I was kind of sketching out what I wanted my dahlia bed plan to be like. And that all, of course, came down to good labeling of the dahlias when I put them in storage. And that is what I tried to do. I have these plastic labels that have a hole in them so I can take some twine and tie the labels to the clumps of dahlias. But what I discovered was that there was enough moisture that the twine actually rotted and broke. And so when I'm trying to pull the dahlias out, I'm pulling out clumps of dahlias with no strings attached, no labels attached. So it's going to be a little bit of a guessing game. We'll see. It's very unlikely that my dahlia bed is going to look like my original plan, but that's okay. And you may have noticed I've got hoses running throughout the bed here, so that's going to help with watering. And I'm actually going to do a whole video on how I have set up this garden bed for summer watering. And you can see we've got a lot of other plants in the bed, not just dahlias. We've been trying to add other perennials and some self-seeding annuals and things like that. So I can't wait to see how everything looks, and I certainly can't wait to show you. So thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.